All right, Rodrigo, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to say congrats on the 145 cert. That's awesome. When did you guys get it?
It's been 2 months since we gotten it, so I'm very happy. Everyone's excited here.
Nice. All right, cool. And part of the reason why I reached out, before I joined EBIS and I was looking at starting a podcast here, I saw that you got the cert. So I wanted to reach out and ask you what goes into it. What was the process like? What do you wish you maybe did different? What do you wish you maybe knew beforehand? But before we get into all those details and wherever you want to take it, happy to follow you along that path. But why did you want to get the 145 cert?
Well, for me, I felt like it was the next step for me to progress my career. Let's say I had everybody pretty much telling me too. So that's what you need to do. That's your next step. I was the director of maintenance of a sightseeing tour company in New York City, and I was there for 12 years. And I worked with a lot of great people over there. Where I started off as a mechanic, so I went to A&P school, then got hired there. I was a mechanic, supervisor, quality control inspector, moved up to assistant director of maintenance, and then I was the director of maintenance for 5 years. And being in the tour business, especially in New York City, is very demanding. Work a lot, you learn a lot in the aviation industry. And I learned a lot in management. So I was not only a decent mechanic, but I was very good at managing mechanics and utilizing them in their strong points to just get tasks done. And I started noticing that I was really, really good at that. So I figured the next thing, I was always dreaming, like, maybe I should own my own shop. And then even hanging out in the shop, guys were like, hey, like, you could probably own your own shop. We should own our own shop one day. And it was kind of like a pipe dream, like, yeah, that'd be cool. But then COVID happened. Company got shut down that I worked for. Everybody kind of went their own ways. A lot of my guys went to the airlines and Teterboro, where they worked on fixed-wing jets, private stuff. I went to a helicopter manufacturer, Leonardo, actually, if I'm allowed to say.
Okay.
I worked at Augusta for about 8 months, and I enjoyed it. I would have stayed there longer, but I actually applied for the 145 at that time. So this was back in 2020.
Oh my God! All right, so this is 4 years in the making.
Yeah, I'm giving you a date already, so we can talk about that. So that's when I initially applied. And how do you apply? You basically go online. Well, you can ask your local FSDO, and they'll help you out. So if you know your FSDO, generally they're going to help you out. I think they're all there to help you out anyway, because they're there to guide you through the regulations. So they're going to help as long as you're easygoing. You give them a call, they'll answer all your questions, and all the info is online as well. So, but I know my FSDO very well because I had experience as a DOM at the tour company that I used to work for.
Nice.
So I gave them a call, and they guided me through. And I filled out an application online. I can't remember the name of the application. There's numbers to it, but you fill it out, and it's easy. It really is. It's not brain surgery, as people say. So I got that done, and then there was just a long period of waiting. Honestly, it was probably about 2 years because my application got kicked to Nashville. So because of COVID, the FSDO was basically, they sent my application elsewhere. It wasn't to Teterboro because I wanted my repair station in New Jersey, but they sent it out to Nashville. Okay. And Nashville also was COVID time. I hate to blame everything on COVID, but that's what I was hearing a lot. Like, your application's still in the queue. It's in the queue. There's 24 people in front of you. So I just patiently waited, and I was persistent. I would keep calling them kindly and asking, hey guys, I'm still here. And at that time, I kept working for Augusta and just doing some side jobs for myself. And then I got a phone call by a law enforcement company to come to Caldwell, New Jersey, and start doing maintenance for them. Not as an employee, as a vendor. That's where I started. I made RG Aviation, and I started working under my A&P. But under RG Aviation.
Nice.
In that time, I still continued to be persistent and give the FAA phone call after phone call after phone call. And eventually, the Teterboro FSDO helped me out tremendously. They called Nashville and they transferred all the application process to them. And that's when things started moving along. And that's when I needed to start making GOM manuals, so the repair station manuals. One thing I am going to recommend, if you're not a writer, don't write it yourself. If you don't know the regulations, don't write it yourself. I couldn't do it myself. There was no way. So there are companies out there that will write manuals for you. I found a very, very good company. If I could tell them, they're Fly Certs.
Yeah, please.
They Fly Certs LLC. So they helped me out with my manuals. I paid them a fee. And I actually thought it was going to be a lot more. So a long time ago, a lot of people were saying it's going to be $50,000, $60,000 for someone to write your manuals. I did not pay that. I didn't even pay over $10,000 to write a manual. So I'm telling people these numbers because a lot of people can get discouraged. When I originally wanted a repair station, I always heard things like, oh, it's going to be $45,000 for you to get manuals. It's going to be $75,000 for you to get manuals. And for someone, they can get discouraged over that, and they might not, get a repair station because of that. It's discouraging to hear something's going to cost you $50,000 if you don't have that type of money. Yeah. So it's not going to be that. At least it wasn't in my situation. So yeah, I got my manuals done, and then I started the process of getting the manuals reviewed by the FAA. So there's a lot of details as well too. So you gotta the FAA will set you up for a SAS portal. So it's a portal. It's just an online thing that you go on. You start submitting documents. You basically just do what they say, and yeah, eventually they start reviewing your manuals and they start just kicking it back. Like, hey, revise this, revise this, revise this. It's a lot of back and forth and conversations and revisions. And yeah, eventually, once your manuals get approved, then they'll come over to your shop and they'll do a base inspection. That base inspection also, you shouldn't be very scared of it. By that time, you should have a good report already with your FSDO. And they're going to come and they're going to look over your shop, your organization. Are you following your manuals that you made that were approved? And you have to follow them to the T. So they're going to be repair station documents in there that you have to utilize in your repair station. You can't just tell FAA, you can't give them a repair station manual and then not follow it. The biggest thing, you have to follow that manual. You have to follow the guidelines. And they're there to protect you, your guys, and obviously the aircraft that are flying. So follow them. They're going to come in. They're going to look at tool calibrations. They're going to look at greases, the organization of the shop, mechanics, paperwork. There's quite a bit of stuff that they look like. It gets pretty in depth, but don't be discouraged by it. If I'm not going to use the word fail. If you don't pass that day, they'll come back. They're going to give you a list of stuff to fix. The biggest thing is to not quit. I mean, I'm not a motivational speaker, but I'm pretty determined and persistent. And I'm not the smartest guy in the world. For me to have a repair station today is because of persistence, for sure. Persistence, a little bit of intelligence, but help from a lot of people too. I have really good mechanics near me that work with me that are super intelligent. So I utilize them as well as a team, and we're here today because of that.
Okay. So on a couple fronts, it's build the relationships that can help you move this forward, whether that's with your FSDO, whether that's with other technicians, pros in the industry, maybe people who have done it before that can give you some guidance. And then even for building those manuals, if you feel like you could do it yourself, go ahead, but don't shy away from reaching out to somebody on that front. Okay, so that makes sense. And when you're going through those processes and you're submitting stuff and getting revisions, like what were the kinds of revisions and things that you were getting? Was it small details, or were they things that you were like, oh, I hadn't even looked at my business or process that way? Like what was the scale of those?
Honestly, it was a lot of wording. It was a lot of wording that it was a lot of wording in the manuals that can shoot myself in the foot. And I would love to explain this. I just don't know how. Let's say we're a very, very small repair station right now. So we're tiny. We don't need, how do you say this? I don't need the processes that like a huge manufacturer needs. Like I'm very, very small. I don't have a lot of aircraft that I have to look over right now. Our capabilities list. So you make a capabilities list. It's for only a certain amount of aircraft. Right now we're doing Airbus and Bell. But how do I explain this? It should. There's a lot of stuff that they were saying, this is too big for you. Let's not give you that right now. Let's start you off very, very small and perfect that first, and then grow and grow from that, and then start adding things.
And would that be like, would that example be like, in terms of the processes that you wrote, that would shoot you in the foot because you're trying to like follow something that's bigger than you would need to? Or did that even come in the form of like you were applying for a certain type of certificate and they're like, instead of going for that class, go for like a limited and put it in these buckets? Like which was it, both, or would you say it was more like the process one?
It was a process one, really. Yeah, there was just a lot of process in it that they removed for me. So, yeah, I should have took some notes down during the whole process. But it's very detailed, and I can only say that the FAA guides you through a lot of it. They're not there to hurt you; they're there to help you for sure. Yeah, I wish I had more details for you on that, but there's a lot of things. Yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
It makes sense. Like, and I even saw that at Flight Docs back in the day. We would help 135 operators get their AO25 op spec, and I'm even starting to see it now at EBIS. It's like you sometimes don't want to put in the exact specific details of what you're doing and things like that, because if you say we're going to click this and click this and click this, that means that you have to do that. Even if you find in 3 months that actually, they came out with a new feature, or if we do our workflows a little different, we can cut our paperwork time in half. We can't actually do that without rewriting at least this portion of the manual. So that was something that we gave people guidance on, of like, even from our perspective, get it to where it covers everything. It's safe. It makes sense, but don't hamstring yourself for the sake of like super specific details that don't really need to be laid out in the manual.
That's exactly what I wanted to say, Chris.
All right, cool.
You said it in better words. Thank you. Appreciate that.
No problem, man. So, all right. So the main gist of it is those pieces. Build that relationship with the FSDO. Stay persistent. Just don't give up on it. And then be ready to work. And so when they show up at the shop, what were some of the things that they were looking for? I know you mentioned a handful, but what was that process like?
So let's see here. The biggest thing is they're all big things collectively. Tool calibration. I mean, mechanics use torque wrenches. They have to be calibrated by a vendor. They need to have a sticker on them showing the expiration dates, and they also need to have certificates that show who calibrated it and when's the expiration date. Those certificates, they need to be filed in a cabinet somewhere where the FSDO can come in and request one. If they requested it, you can just go and grab it for them. And then the mechanics as well, when they're grabbing a tool, they need to see the expiration date on the tool and make sure that the tool's integrity is good. I mean, that they can use it on an aircraft. Tools, obviously, they need to be serialized. And I have an own like RG tool number 1, RG tool number 2, RG tool number 3. And I actually track those tools with Flight Docs, which is another program that I absolutely love. So I've been using Flight Docs for 10 years probably. So I
Nice.
utilize flight docs for calibrated tools for tracking the tools. So inventory, maintenance tracking, everything. So another thing is consumables, oils, greases. I do the same thing with those. So every single oil that comes in here, a can of oil has to go in our consumable cabinet, and that gets tagged. The tag states the expiration date and then the tracking number that we have in flight docs. So when a mechanic grabs an oil can, he can see that it's not expired, and it has a tracking. So the biggest thing that it's not expired. So
Nice.
yeah, those are two big things. Organization. I mean, if you're a mess, if your stuff is thrown everywhere. I mean, like I told you, all my calibrated tools are in a tool cabinet right now. I don't have a tool room. One day I could probably upload you pictures, or you can come visit the shop. But some people also probably think that an FAA repair station needs to be this huge grand thing. I mean, my parts room is cabinets. They're very nice cabinets from Uline, but I have them in there. I have all my tools, my calibrated tools inside a cabinet. The cabinets are locked and they're organized. So you just got to be clean and organized. And then when the FAA comes here and they ask for stuff, you should be able just to, oh, here they are. It should be easy for them, but it should be easy for your mechanics, because your mechanics are using this every single day, and the process should be easy for them to find what they need. And then easy for them to tell if the calibrated tool or the oils or greases are not expired. So
Got it.
I have to make their
And
jobs.
so when you're,
Mhm.
yeah, got to make it easy. That's like the name of the game. That's the name of the game with all this stuff, is make it as easy as possible. And so, when you're going through this process, like you're putting all these documents, everything that you submitted through, even leading up to having the cert, like, were you already doing the process that you submitted? Like, was that something that you already kind of had been doing for X amount of months, or how did that work?
I'm going to say 6 months prior to getting my base inspection, I was already aware that I was going to get a base inspection eventually. So we were building up. We were sitting down, having meetings with not only the FSDO, but I would have meetings with the FSDO, and they were telling me exactly how the shop should be. And then I was having meetings with my workers that helped me here, and we were just buying cabinets, organizing, and basically having a future vision of what we wanted the shop to be. So it was 6 months prior to having a base inspection. So it was a race to the clock, let's say, right at the end. I was here 2 nights before the base inspection, just looking over every single thing, making sure we are ready. But it didn't end that day. So we got our certificate, and every single day we're still here making sure everything's clean and organized, because to maintain every single day is also a process. I mean, it's tough, but you have to do it. It's the way to keep the company going and making sure everything is safe. So.
Why do you have that? Why do you have that mindset of like making sure everything's done every day?
This shop it's a machine. It's a machine, and there's workers. I mean, there's parts every single day. Meaning, like, everybody has to do their job in here, because it's just when you calibrated tools, someone has to look at them occasionally or every single day and make sure that they're good to go. And I mean, I track them, but still, someone needs to keep an eye on that tracking. The oils every single day, someone has to look at it and make sure. And when excuse me, when oil comes in, there's an incoming inspections. You got to look at the oil, put it inside the cabinets. Tools, and there's so much more. I mean, work orders, maintenance tracking. It's a huge machine. So every single day, everyone needs to be aware of the vision that I have, and my higher ups. The guys that work with me, that are alongside me, that our vision of the future of this company is just to maintain organization and just grow. But you have to be super organized in this business, or else you're not going to survive. There's no way. And it's just my opinion in the matter. So shop has to stay clean, and guys have to stay organized, and that's my job, honestly, to structure that, and because guys come in lazy every day, not every day, but guys, I'm tired, you're tired, and I have to make it easy for them so they know that if they leave an oil can on the floor, they know, hey, this oil can here doesn't look good. I have to put it back inside a cabinet, because if there was 40 oil cans everywhere, that one oil can that they put on the ground wouldn't even matter. So I make the shop as clean as possible and as organized as possible. So people have to do their job and put things back. And it works that way. And I'm fighting every single day to keep that going. And so are my guys. So
it's a constant battle, man. I've been in some hangars that I've taken pictures of what the bathroom looked like. It's like a war zone in there. It's just it's kind of an inside joke we got going over here. But so how do you instill that work ethic, like that pride, that consistency to maintain that? Like, how I know this is coming out of left field, but like, how do you instill that?
By showing it every single day, by me coming in and doing it, and then having the guys that are nearest me and do it as well, and then have conversations every single day, and be persistent, and maybe a little bit annoying when I walk around the shop. I say, hey, Jesus, can you clean that up? Or hey, Al, like, we got to clean this up. We can't have it like this. We got to pick up after ourselves. We don't want to maintain the shop this way. This is not the type of place. So just have conversations with the mechanics. I have a very good rapport with my mechanics too. I like to be humble and work aside them. So I clean up, I sweep floors, and that, to me, that's a huge thing. So if I keep telling everybody to clean up and then I'm not doing it and I'm sitting in the office, it doesn't look good. So conversations every single day. Yeah. Explaining people the vision. So
nice. Yeah. Leading by example with that, man. It's you see it in a lot of places where it's just, hey, go do what I said, do what I said, not what I do type thing. Yeah. And it's hard to get team buy-in with that. It doesn't create or facilitate the ability to offer the level of feel or service or, I don't know, self-respect in some ways for your own business if it's not coming from leadership.
Yeah. And the FAA comes in here. I mean, if I was an FAA inspector and I walk into a shop and it's super clean, it says something about the organization. So it's important to me. It's important to me for when people walk into this hangar, how they look at our company. And we're going to keep maintaining that. And like I said, we're going to work hard every single day to make sure that people look at us and they see how clean we are, because that's how our work is as well. And our customers, I mean, we have customers come in here every single day. So I would not leave my plane or a helicopter in a place that looked disheveled and there was oil all over the ground. It would make me a little bit concerned. So, and I'm not saying that those shops are bad by any means, but my shop's not going to be run like that. It's going to be a little bit cleaner. So, yeah.
Understood. Well, and so, all right, so you were a DOM for a while, and so RG Aviation, I know you said you went to get you put in for the 145 cert, I guess even before you really picked up this as the full-time gig, I guess I'll call it, but starting the company. So how did that come about? What were the details there? I know you gave a high-level pass at it, but what were the details of getting started?
Explain what you want me to explain. So,
well, you mentioned you were working full time, but you had this on the side, and then you got a call to kind of kick this off and handle maintenance for, I think you said, a police department, right?
Yeah, it was a law enforcement agency. Yeah.
So how did that all come about?
I've been working in this area for a long time, so people know me a little bit around this area, especially working on Airbus helicopters, so the A-Stars. I kind of have a reputation for working on them. And when I worked at it's Liberty Helicopters where I worked. That was a sightseeing tour company. They operated 15 helicopters, and all of them were Airbus.
Yep.
So the law enforcement company that reached out to me, they operate Airbus. So they were looking for some help. They have a mechanic full time, but he was looking for some help doing heavier inspections. So I was glad to help. It was a really good opportunity, and honestly, it was a catalyst for me to really believe in the repair station, because when I was sitting at Leonardo Helicopters and I filled that paperwork out, it was a pipe dream, I guess. I didn't know what was gonna happen, what was gonna transpire. It was just, I'm filling something out. It was just going into a box somewhere, and then things just started happening. And then I ended up in Caldwell, working for that law enforcement company, and yeah. And then the FAA reached out to me, and then it started snowballing. So I just had a positive mindset, constantly believing, and little things started happening.
And so, what were the next things that happened? So you started that role, and that kind of moved you in the direction. So where did you start getting the next set of customers? What were people reaching out for help with? Like, what were the main challenges that they were dealing with?
Most of my customers right now, like 75% of them, are pilots that got jobs in the private industry, flying somebody. And I knew those pilots from a long time ago. So a lot of these pilots, they went through Liberty Helicopters. So they worked as a tour pilot. They flew their Robbies before then. Then they got into jets. A-Stars. And then they moved on to something a little bit better. And those guys always remembered me. And then they were like, hey, my owner is looking for a pilot. I'm the pilot now, and we need some maintenance done. Can you handle doing maintenance? We're going to fly 30 hours a year or something. That's like nothing, but there are people out there that fly such things. And they hire these pilots, and those pilots have a relationship with me, and they know me, and they're like, hey, come do the maintenance. So that's what I have, a lot of that right now. And now that we set up base here at Caldwell, we actually have a base now on the Cert, and we're actually getting people calling us or landing here at the FBO, and they need stuff. They need oil or servicing tires or inspections. They'll walk right over to our shop here and ask, and I'm starting to get a lot of people walking in instead of like the past relationships that I had. But a lot of my business and a lot of everything that I have today came from that tour company that I worked for. So the connections, the experience, everything came from that. It was something that it was me and the mechanic said it was like Navy SEALs training for helicopters working over there, because we got so much experience. We were exposed to everything. It was like I said before, it's like an emergency room. Every single day we felt like doctors. We weren't sitting in an office much. It was just one aircraft would come in, another would come out, and you're gaining experience and building relationships with mechanics, pilots constantly, because these pilots are getting inside these aircraft every single day, and they trust you with their lives, man. So you build a relationship with them. And I like every single one of the pilots I work with, so most of them. So it's big to build relationships, because you never know what's going to come out of it later. And I don't build relationships because I expect something out of it, but you get stuff eventually out of it. And look, I'm here a lot today. I thank a lot of the pilots, because they help me out tremendously. They give me business. So be nice to your pilots.
Yep. That's the key. That's a key takeaway. Be nice to your pilots.
Be nice,
well, and it's
nice
interesting. It's interesting you said it's like an emergency room and you're constantly churning these things out, because that was something I learned when I was going through my time at Flight Docs back then. Was, it's easy to look at these things and say, well, it's maintenance tracking, or, what we're doing now. It's just like a software for managing work orders and things like that. But some of those turnarounds and all of those kind of events happening so quickly, the amount of pressure and the need to get those things right is so high. And also you're talking about like revenue generation or revenue prevention or loss. And it's like, it's hinged on the work that gets done and how fast it gets done and, supporting these teams. And that was something that was interesting that I learned as I got to go to these hangars and see what people were doing, is just like how much they needed to get right in such a short period of time with like no forgiveness and no thanks in a lot of cases. So that was interesting to kind of be a part of and get to experience supporting guys like that. It was cool.
Yeah. These aircraft, they fly a lot, especially in the tour business where you can, I've heard in the past where a lot of people say it doesn't give them any gratification working on tour helicopters. But I did get a ton of experience working on them. And to be honest, the tour industry does bring in a lot of money. And I've heard in the past where, the owners are greedy, and they just want to keep flying. But we're the mechanics. We're keeping these aircraft flying because, yes, the owners are making money, but we're also sustaining everybody around us. When I look around, it's the team of us that we're all making a paycheck. And if the company does well, you would hope that everybody else does well too. So I look at the guy on the left and I look at the guy on the right, and that's what we're working for, is to just get these aircraft up and flying, because it brings money to not only the guy on the left and the right, but the entire company. I mean, everybody has families, homes that they need to pay for. So I don't look at how the helicopter is operating and what it's doing, but it's bringing revenue to everybody, and that's how we make a living. So I try to keep those aircraft flying. Obviously, that is the goal, so we can all maintain our lives here. But it does help too.
Do you feel like that mindset has translated over to owning a business? Like, has that served you well in owning your own business, having that mindset?
Oh yeah, even more now, because now I'm really worried about payroll. So I gotta worry about the guys, and that's the most important thing, is that obviously I build relationships and I don't want to break them. I don't want to hurt them in any way, and I want to bring in customers to bring in revenue so we can keep payroll going, and I can help these guys out. Everybody, like I said, everybody has families and stuff that they need jobs, everybody. So it's nice to provide people jobs, honestly. I didn't know that was my role in the past. I was kind of here. We all want to make money, right? But it's like the greater good is that you're actually giving people a lot of jobs, where there was some guys that I given jobs to where they haven't worked in a bit and they really needed the help. So it feels good to just to help people out with that aspect. So I keep that in mind. So that's kind of why we work hard in here. Just make sure we get enough revenue to keep hiring people and helping everybody out.
Nice. And so what are some of the services that you guys are offering?
Aircraft maintenance. Okay. So scheduled inspections, unscheduled inspections, STC installations. We're not doing heavy like avionics installs and stuff like that. We're not installing Garmins and stuff like that at the moment. Eventually we will be, but we're just doing your standard inspections, 100-hour inspections, annual inspections. We're working on rotor craft. Obviously, that's our expertise right now, is helicopters, but we do fixed wing as well. A lot of my guys, like I said, they work at airlines and over at Teterboro. They have a lot of fixed wing experience, so we're starting to pull in the Pilatuses, the TBMs, some Gulfstreams, but Caldwell's runway is a little short. So, that's our services. We're hoping to grow and get out, expand to other airports, potentially Teterboro, where we could get a little bigger aircraft. But right now, just like this and grow in baby steps. So
nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I did want to touch on real quick before we wrap it up is just the shortage of mechanics and some of the changes in, from when you started as an A&P till now. What did you want to hit on with that?
I don't know if there's a shortage of mechanics, but I'm having a hard time finding mechanics. I hate to blame the airlines, but they're doing the mechanics at the airlines are doing well. And when you work for a repair station, especially a helicopter repair station, it's a lot of work. There isn't a lot of downtime. One of my goals, I don't want to get off topic, but one of my goals is to have a repair station that's potentially different from others where I can hopefully have more downtime. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I don't want to push my guys a lot because, like I said before, the tour industry, we really were an emergency room. It was very fast. It was demanding. There was a lot of pressure. A lot of guys did not survive that. They just didn't want to be part of that at all. So they went to the airlines, and we lost a lot of good men. We lost a lot of good guys to the airlines. And like I said, the airlines pays very, very well. Their incentives are really, really good. But I'm hoping I can compete with that. I don't know if I'm going to be able to compete in that level, but our pay rate's very, very good here. And shortages of mechanics, yeah. And like I'm going to just repeat, the biggest problem is they sit inside this office and they just think, do I want to go to the airlines where I can kind of relax and get paid very well and not do too much work throughout the night, or I come here and they're gonna push me pretty good. You're gonna get a lot of experience here for sure, but I'm trying to minimize that. I want guys to just focus at a task at hand and maybe do a task or two throughout the day, because the idea is to not push people here. So,
it's finding that sweet spot right there.
It's hard.
It's like, you don't want to necessarily burn people out, but at the same time, you probably saw a tremendous value in that pressure. I mean, to be able to go do all that stuff, turn it around, getting people to kind of raise to the challenge is sometimes more valuable than extra downtime, and that's person to person, but
yes, absolutely.
I mean, you've been through it, so you're at least qualified to guide people through, that kind of environment.
Yeah. I might get some people crying. An emergency room, there's a lot of pressure. It gets demanding, but here, that, like I said, that was in the past. We're trying to change that up here. We're trying to give guys a lot of time to work on what they need to work on so they can finish it properly, safely, and where they're not stressed out. I'm trying to lower the stress here for all of us, so everyone that's working.
Fair enough.
For a shortage of mechanics, so I'll take some data, give me another year or two, and I could come back. But everything I'm reading online, not that everything online is true, but it looks like it's hard to get mechanics. So we'll see. Yeah, I'm doing okay.
I talk to a lot of our customers, and they're sharing that sentiment too. But before we wrap up, where can people find you?
Right now, we can find us on at Caldwell if you come here. We're at Caldwell Airport. That's Essex County Airport. We're in Fairfield, New Jersey. They can also go on our Instagram. RG Aviation has an Instagram. We have a Facebook. We don't advertise much on there. We're quite a bit on Instagram. It's a popular social media outlet for everybody. And then LinkedIn as well. But please feel free to come over to our shop. The doors are open here, and come check us out and say hello for sure. We're going to be here for quite a bit. And if we do open anything else, we're going to be at Teterboro. So come on by.
All right. We'll include some of that info in the show notes and everything. But before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to touch on?
No, just be persistent and be safe out there and be organized. That's the biggest thing with me. I mean, I'm not a super technical guy. I got here by the help of others. It's about growing a team and everybody doing little bits of it together to have an amazing team. So I'm like a I like soccer. Let's say that, and then we're just a huge team. We play a lot of positions, and we're looking to win championships here, guys. So I'm trying to get the best team possible here to have the best repair station in the Northeast. So I'm headed for it, and I'm going to give it definitely a try. I'm going to be persistent as possible, and consistent. So
Awesome. Well,
yeah.
thanks for joining me, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for the time, Chris. I appreciate it. I'll see you again.